In 3, 2, 1. Today's episode is brought to you by Hammond, aka Tiny Harambe.
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I'm your host, The Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How's it going? Got to unmute the mic.
Got to unmute that mic eventually.
Yep, go figure.
It's funny.
I was holding the button down too.
I still heard what you said in my mind because
same thing every week.
Same thing every single week, and that's what keeps the people coming back. But yeah, some interesting stuff going on. But let's just get right into it. What did you do last week?
I caught up on sleep, which was nice. It was the first weekend in a while that wasn't interrupted by trips out of town or having to wake up to take pain medicine so that I could even sleep at all. So yeah, it was nice to just have and it was a long weekend too, which obviously is really nice. But other than that, I've just been scrimming with the team. We're getting ready for contenders. Just last night did a scrim against Team Omnic Lab. It went really, really well for us. And actually, iPlay did stream it. Nice. So if you go over to twitch.tv/Omnic Lab and check it out, if anybody's interested, I know I've said I'd give you guys as much access as was public and out there. We told them we don't mind. It's more our comms are the reason that we don't stream it or do anything like that. So we don't mind if their comms are out there. And but yeah, you can go over to twitch.tv/Omnic Lab and go to the recent videos. I'll probably tweet a link of it or something like that down the line. Definitely tweet at me and ask for it if you're looking, and I will find that for you.
Yeah, I saw the clip that you sent me earlier today, and that was that's got to be a little bit of an ego boost, right?
Well, I don't know if it's so much me as it is the hero in the comp, right? Like, I mean, it doesn't hurt that I'm, it gets billed between his team and our team a little bit, like, High Noon Podcast versus Omnic Lab. They went full out and named the team Omnic Lab. So, but yeah, so I don't know if it's all made up of fans of the show or how they got formed, but they're definitely a solid team. And but when you're the Zenyatta in the dive comp, there's two ways to attack dive comp. Essentially, it's murder the Winston that's diving on you, or murder the Zenyatta in the backline that's providing the Discord orb. But yeah, it was really fun, like listening to their comms. They're very complimentary of me with their insults. So it's a lot of fun to get that perspective. And honestly, it was really valuable to watch, too. I've never seen one of our scrims from the other side. And we did something a little bit off of our normal positioning on Dorado on the first point on defense. We play dive comp where we stick pretty heavily to the rogue composition of dive comp triple DPS. And we were literally, while they were approaching, and I was floored by this, we were invisible. They could not see us at all until they got to the cart, and then we jumped past them, murdered their backline. Like, it was, our positioning there was phenomenal, so it was really great to see it from that perspective. They were even commenting on it, like, yeah, they're just hiding. I have no idea where anybody is, and I couldn't find us on their screen either. So we're doing our VOD review from our perspective tonight, so we're going to pay close attention to where we were standing on those pushes and make sure we repeat that, because it's really, if you're a team that's out there, try to watch your scrims from the other side. Maybe send muted vids to each other or something, if you don't mind. If you don't have anybody that'll talk a little crap while they're playing and you don't want that out there, send muted copies or something. But it's really, really valuable information. So big thanks to iPlay and the team for making that accessible to us. It was great.
Yeah, it's always awesome to, like, when you do something, you're never really quite sure like how good it is, and you might not be completely sold on your strategy, but when you see it from the other perspective, it's like, oh man, that's kind of crazy. So that's really awesome to see. that happened. It's awesome to see you guys are doing well, even without your amazing backup Lucio player.
Yeah, I actually reached out to you, tried to get you in to fill for us another time, but you weren't around. You never responded at all. So I'm
Yeah,
sure if
I
you
remember
you
getting
would
the
have.
message. I don't remember what I was doing though. I think I was.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But yeah, so I actually, coincidentally enough, did start playing Overwatch again. I bought.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, right? Just unrelated to anything. Actually, it was related to something. My girlfriend wanted to start playing. We've been playing a lot of Heroes together. She wanted to play some Overwatch, so I went ahead and bought her a copy of Overwatch. It didn't hurt that it was on sale this week. So I played a little bit with her, just casual. She's still getting a feel for it, and like I have not been playing first person shooters for so many years at a high level to like not even remember what it's like to be at that beginning stage. Like, no, I very much remember what it's like being at that floundering stage, mostly because I'm still at it.
Well, and your play's been so inconsistent lately, and like you said, it's not something. The muscle memory is not there for you, so the
Right.
rust is very real. And it's not. It's honestly, it's not there for me. I can quit playing for 3 days, and our next scrim, I'm like, oh, let's watch from somebody else's perspective this week. I don't know. Yeah, we should just do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's.
I mean, it was even less of that and more of like I just understand the struggles so much with what she's going through. But with like magic and
Yeah.
stuff, like certain things and concepts, like I take for granted, like, oh, you should be able to do combat math relatively easily and like understand where like how card advantage works, and like those things have just been ingrained in my mind over years and years and thousands of hours of playing. Like it's like those things are just so second nature to me. But like positioning and all the mechanical stuff obviously too is just kind of, it's not as second nature to me. So it's been interesting. I think eventually it's gonna get good. I mean, the biggest thing is just playing more often.
Yes.
Like the biggest thing, because a lot of it is muscle memory and a lot of it is positioning and whatnot, and like just learning the maps too and the characters, because she's like, I just don't know what this character does, why am I dying? I'm like, I don't know, I don't even know what this character does. What's a Narissa?
Yeah, and there's a lot of them too. Like I'm staring at a picture of him because of the next segment, but there's characters like Hanzo too that like unless you played Team Fortress 2 after the update that allowed you to snipe as a a bow and arrow shooter, you may very well never played a game with an archer in it, and you're not used to those kind of projectiles coming at you. So I think there's a lot of characters that fall in that. Like Zarya, like if you didn't come from Quake, Zarya is very unique to you. And then if you came to Quake, you're like, I see what you did there. It's I think something that affected everybody at the start, almost no matter how much, unless you play literally like Quake and Team Fortress 2, if you were just a nothing but an arcade FPS junkie your whole life, then you're familiar with everything. But
right. And then the other thing is like knowing, like you take for granted, like, oh, I know exactly where the payload is, and like I know where it's going, and I know where I should be, and I understand where my spawn is, and I understand where it is in relation to their spawn and where they're coming from. It's like, no, actually, when you first start playing, especially a map like Eichenwald, can be very confusing. Even though there are the like lines that tell you, and there's the indicator for the payload, but like if you're not used to it, like it can be confusing. I literally remember being confused about where stuff was when I first started.
Yeah, if you're in that middle building on point 2 of Eichenwald, like you can get turned around so fast in there and just fall off a cliff. Literally just fall off a cliff to your death because you walk through the wrong doorway.
Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely a struggle, but I think it's good for you though, because her wanting to play will only increase your abilities to play. So
True. It will definitely be good. And besides that, obviously still playing the most amount of Clash, and also a lot of HOTS too.
Gross.
HOTS is fun, man. HOTS got fun with the introduction of Overwatch characters. HOTS got real fun. Like Lucio is so fun to play.
I will bet you any money that those would also like be my favorite characters, and that would be my favorite thing about the game, would just be the Overwatch characters. But with that said, I'll just play them on Overwatch.
Yeah, exactly. You can do both. But let's move on to my favorite segment of the week. Overwatch Today meme of the week. Of course, everyone knows it's the Overwatch Today meme of the week, and this week we finally picked one that wasn't a Genji I need healing meme.
I picked it before you got home, so I got you. I got you, listeners.
I will say that this does get my blessing. Do you want to describe it a little bit, Death?
Sure. So it's a picture of the new Hanzo skin, and it's a pie chart kind of over top of him, and it's all filled in one color. And there's a legend off to the side. That one color is Hanzo, and the text at the top is "Who's to blame?" So all the blame goes to the Hanzo, who honestly, it's weird to say it, but he's really good with the update. Like his damage is, increased enough now in his increased frequency of full charge shots that can go out. Also, the holding of your charge as you attack high ground to like reach the the top of a wall ride with a fully charged shot is really, really powerful. So I'm really excited, and we saw some of that in the tournaments. We'll be talking about that soon. We had to get this one in while we still could, right? Because he's going to become at least on some maps, part of the meta, and which is great to see, honestly, because I don't know that it's even going to like bring Zarya back into the meta. Anyways, the point is the meme. But yeah, so just a really funny, anti-bowhead meme. So we had to go with that one.
Yeah, and I've got to say, with the Overwatch anniversary update, there's been a lot of good memes lately. So Overwatch Today, obviously, keep them coming. And guys, if you've been living under a rock and also listening to the podcast, and you've been under, I don't even know how to describe it, go check out Overwatch Today on Instagram, as well as the podcast from Overwatch Today. Funny stuff, great memes, good times, all sorts of good stuff.
There's some crossover over there now, I understand. So
yeah, and actually, I forgot to mention this before the show, but might be on the show at some point.
Ooh.
Yeah. The invitation was also extended to you, so we'll talk about it.
Okay.
It wasn't just me. Just Overwatch Today messaged me and was like, "Hey, can you specifically and not Deathblow come on the show?" And I said,
"Well,
absolutely."
There's some merit. There's some merit to one at a time. You know what I mean? Like it's what we did with Omnic Lab. I went there. Sure. iPlay came here.
True. Well, we'll talk about it, but keep an eye out. We might have a little more show cross promotion, which would be pretty sweet. But let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. Let's go into It's Tournament Talk. Yes, the Tournament Talk. We got a couple of updates for the tournaments today, and then we'll move right along. We've got, of course, our third of 800,000th week of Apex to talk about. A couple of notables here. Lunatic High. To the surprise of very few, still undefeated at 3-0. The big surprise, I think, in this group right now is that Rogue is 1-2.
Yeah, got 3-0'd by Lunatic High when they met in the group stages. And I wasn't surprised by the overall outcome. Obviously I thought it was going to be closer than that. I don't know. I hadn't honestly put a ton of thought into who would likely win. I don't follow Lunatic High as much as I should. But obviously if you follow anything Apex, they're usually around at the end of it. So you get a chance to see them some.
At least pretty late.
Yeah, and in that region, and in those tournaments, obviously that's saying quite a bit about their overall skill. Yeah. Nonetheless, I don't think Rogue is eliminated yet. I just think they bring a poor pairing in. Like it's a little hard to understand, but I think the fact that there's the yellow and the red indicators means they're gonna like enter into the lower bracket or enter with a loss or something like that. Yeah. Not 100% sure how the group stages end, as you guys know. So we have limited patience for this event.
Yeah, I'm guessing there might just be another set, like another 3 game set, or maybe they eliminate the bottom. They eliminate the bottom and then go. I don't know.
That's what my thinking is. Just by looking at is that only the 4th place from each group is completely eliminated right away. And to be honest, though, that could still be Rogue. it might be a little tough from the map's tiebreaker that appears to be here, but
Yeah.
we have Kongdu, Panthera, and Mighty AOD still yet to face off in that group. And if Mighty AOD is able to take down that matchup, then we'd be looking at a tie at 1 and 2 for the 3 spot between Mighty AOD and Rogue. And maybe they just play it out. Maybe there is, the map win is a tiebreaker there, but it'll be interesting to see exactly how that plays out because, Rogue can't be sitting too great in tiebreakers with, a 3-0 beatdown from Lunatic High there.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see that. Like, I mean, it's the great equalizer, man. Apex, like it'll really humble any team. I think. I don't think we haven't really seen any team dominate in Apex one way or the other. We've seen, Envy did really well in season 1.
Doing really well in season 3.
Yeah, doing really well in season 3 as well, which we'll talk about in a second. But like, it really has been like I think the long form league style tournament really is the great equalizer. It seems.
Yeah, and definitely the biggest land stage out there for Overwatch right now, just as far as sheer numbers go at the event and the size and scope of everything that you're dealing with, the amount of pre-production you have to do so they have their cut scenes and the extras that they do. There's a lot to it that goes on over there. So it's easy to throw a team off of their game, but nonetheless, I'm sure they're not very, they even had a skin released into the game modeled after their icon, everything like that.
Was that confirmed or is it just a coincidence?
Not quite. I don't think it will ever be confirmed, but I mean, just line them up side by side. It's really obvious.
I do really like
that Tracer
skin.
It's a really good one. It's got Soon's name written all over it. Yeah. It's basically a Soon skin. But nonetheless, it's tough to know, what it'll mean until we see them come back over into NA. But personally, they're my style team. I want to see them in every NA thing that happens. Yeah. We watch their VODs as a team since we run their comp, and so bring them back. I don't know, go Mighty AOD. That's what I'm rooting for. Bring them back.
Bring them back. Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely interesting. I'm obviously, I'm no sheep here. I'm not sheepish here. I'm rooting for Rogue all the time until we start seeing more Hollywood hammers, in which case I'll be rooting for them as well. But so let's move on to Group B. We got Africa Freaks Blue at 2-0, and your boys Runaway just not running away with it right now at 1-2.
Yeah, it looks rough. I do see here they currently are sitting in third, but there's definitely still a match to be played by Kongdu and Sia. Not a slouch team by any stretch, so definitely a team that's able to bring them back. I don't know. We gotta get them back up there. X6 Gaming, I don't know anything about them, so I'm a little surprised to see they were able to presumably at least get the win against. They had to have X6 Gaming had to have beat Runaway. So I'm a little surprised by that, but I don't know anything about X6 Gaming. They could be very legit, and I just am ignorant of them. But for the sake of the meme, Runaway, get it together.
I know. I mean, we've talked about it before that the difference in tiers of the Korean teams seems to like the differences are very slim in terms of the skill gaps. Like we've got some tier A's or some tier S's, I guess, with Lunatic High, the Africa Freaks of the world, and a couple others. But
Envy, they're officially Korean.
Yeah, they're officially tier S Korean. They got there, but a lot of that tier 2 is it's really close. Or even tier 1, I would you could say. But moving on to Group C, we've got Luxury Watch Blue at 3-0, and then MVP Space and Conbox Spirit at 1-1, and Flash Lux at 0-3.
In the eliminated bracket,
just
holding firm,
just done. So Luxury Watch, obviously one of the teams we've heard a lot about and have played. I believe they're one of the teams that actually used to play in the NA Gosu Gamers tournaments too.
I believe that's right.
A long-standing team. Not really super surprised to see them at 3-0. Granted, that Group C seems to be the softest of the groups in this Apex, but the softest group in the Apex tournament is still no slouch for sure. So, and then in Group D, we've got our boys. back home, even though they're a European team. we still claim them as our own. Envy at 3-0, with Meta Athena at 1-1, BK Stars at 1-2, and Rhino Gaming Wings at 0-2. So definitely would be surprised if we didn't see Envy at 3-0 in this group, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Meta Athena obviously was really strong. BK Star's been around a really long time. They're finished up, though, at 1-2. So all Meta Athena needs to do from here is beat the 0-2 team. They're 1-6 in maps, so it seems pretty likely that Meta Athena is probably going to get that one there. So BK Stars will go in with that 3 seed. Honestly, it's a fairly strong group, but I mean, just Envy is so consistently and for so long been such a high performing team.
Yep.
They've changed out no more than one person out of their roster at a time and not really noticed huge differences. And I think that's really commendable. So they're always like that safe bet going into any tournament they're a part of, and they're proving why here.
Oh yeah, they'd be a fantastic team to sink fantasy points if you're doing some sort of league. You're going to have a good bet in Envy. They're going to be, even if they don't win the tournament or win the league or even win their division or whatever, like they're going to be in the top 4 of basically every tournament they go in. And they're
got good aim.
Yeah. And they're going to win a good number of them too. So definitely interesting. So we'll keep you updated, of course, on the Apex tournament. Still a lot going on. I'm sure it's still going to be going on for at least 10 or 20,000 more years. So we'll have our weekly updates. But let's move on to the Rivalcade event that happened this weekend. We had out of the group stages, it's actually a pretty good, pretty nice smattering of teams out of these group stages. But we saw come out of these stages in Group A, we saw Kungarna and Yikes make it. I'm not sure. Are we familiar with Yikes? Or are they?
Yeah, they just won the Overwatch like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
The Alienware. Yeah.
Yes.
It's the former Denial team.
Oh, right. I forgot the name change. And then out of Group B, we saw Selfless and Rise Nation. Group C, we saw the return of Renegades, which is kind of cool. And CLG still maintaining. Really nice to see CLG still maintaining some good performance here. And then we saw Cloud9 and LG Evil make it out of Group D. And in the end, we saw in the top 4, we saw Selfless end up winning against Cloud9 in the finals, with Kungarna, formerly Splice, taking 3rd over Renegades, who ended up in 4th. So honestly, I think, if we were given this, if I was given this list at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have picked these top 4 necessarily. I probably would have pushed LG Evil up a little bit. I may have even placed a little more faith in CLG to make it past that first round of the playoffs. But seeing Selfless win this tournament is not a huge surprise. And Kungarna, even though they kind of took a little bit of a hiatus with Splice, and then Splice, they lost the team sponsorship or what have you with Splice. Like, the team is still good. Like, Kungarna has been good for a very long time. So definitely not super. The only thing I'm I guess not confused or surprised about is that Renegades came out and they were just gone forever. Like, I don't even remember the last tournament that Renegades played in, and they came out and put up a nice top 4 finish. Death, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. Obviously, Yikes just won the Alienware event and did not escape that first round either. I thought that was a really big surprise. LG Evil, it's starting to become a little bit too much of a trend that they don't make it into these top 4s and kind of break in really deep into these tournaments. Obviously, they're no slouch, but currently it just seems maybe the meta's gotten away from them, and they need to get maybe a little closer to a triple tank build or something like that. I don't know. Maybe they seem to have tried to commit very hard to dive, and it hasn't really seemed to work out for them. But again, it's been kind of limited my opportunities to get to watch them. As far as the tournament overall goes, obviously, Kaiser on Cloud 9, I was very curious to see how that was going to go. Getting second place is no slouch. They definitely played really strong. They 2-0'd CLG, then they beat Kungarna, and then they got 3-0'd by Selfless. And it's not a problem to lose the Selfless, but you want to see them take a map. It almost seemed like they hit a brick wall. It's been a little while since we've seen them at the top. They've had a lot of roster changeups, so props to Kaiser, made some really big plays. I think he's fitting in really well, and it's great to see them move back up into the upper echelon of teams, at least the upper echelon of teams that get to stay in North America and don't leave for months at a time. So, but yeah, great to see them back in there as well. And Kungarna, they've been good for a while, but they've been a little on the inactive side recently. Yep. So great to see them back in action. I don't know if it was the org was asking them not to participate or what was going on, but same thing with Renegades. Obviously, we are big fans of Mangachu, and it's great to see him back in action. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, how Hanzo's breaking back into the meta, and Mangachu is leading that charge. It's not everywhere, but I get the feeling maps like King's Row, they played the Zarya Hanzo combination the entirety of the map, and it went really, really well for them. They did it multiple times throughout the tournament, and the guy's really, really good at projectiles. The way he just makes every single one of the arrows count for something, builds his ultimate so fast. They had one play particularly on King's Row where before they capped 2, right, they won a team fight in the middle of the streets, and he runs up and gets up in the balcony on point 3. So when they go up to contest the payload, he's behind him, and he dragon striked from behind and killed a couple people. So just some really, really awesome things that we got to see out of Hanzo. He was not the only person playing it, I don't believe, but definitely the most notable from what I got to see. I didn't get to see the whole thing. There was some family stuff at the holiday weekend. So, but yeah, it was overall a really strong tournament. So, great to see. This is kind of becoming our Alienware monthly melee. I think this one's going to stick around through the next couple of months, so we will see exactly how it continues from here. But thanks to Rivalcade and everybody for holding the event.
Yeah, definitely nice to see. Like, I really don't even once we get Overwatch League established, I don't want to see these other tournaments go away. I really don't. I don't know what capacity we want to see him in, if it's more like a pro and amateur thing. Like, I'm fine with having both. I just don't want to see these other things go away. I really didn't like seeing, Alienwares go away. I don't like seeing Gosu's not fire and go away. Like, those tournaments are what built the groundwork for Overwatch esports, and really put us where we are today. So definitely don't want to see those go. But at the end of the day, like, just give us Overwatch League too. So I want it all. But let's move right along to. Let's break it down. We're breaking it down. We got a couple of little pieces to talk about today. Let's talk about the. Let's just transition into the tournament stuff first, and then we'll talk about the other little leak / data mine / conspiracy / monkey man.
Yeah, so a lot of hype about that. But to take a look first at what happened in the tournament, thanks to Winston Lab, we do have some stats and some pick rates to look at. I do believe this is just as matches. Obviously there's not much reason to think they have the non-televised match stats, but it's a sampling, so it's something to take a look at and analyze. And it gets, if you remember before, we had things kind of clearly set up by overall team compositions, where there was triple tank, there was 3 DPS dive comp, and then there was 2-2-2, a very standard layout. And now when we look at it, we see there's a lot less variety as far as that's concerned. But really, this is just number of tanks, not composition or strategy. So we have 222 taking up 61% of the field as far as what got played, and triple tank comes in at 26%, almost 27, and we also have triple DPS at about 10%. So obviously the triple DPS dive is becoming less popular, but at the same time, Rogue's not here to always be in that feature match area and really padding these numbers. So that's going to, tweak things a little bit. There were a couple teams definitely still running, triple DPS dive, but a lot of the dive that got played was in the 222 category because they're bringing D.Va into it. It's really good when you're trying to dive and the opposing team has a Pharah. Also, it's just really strong. I mean, she's another dive tank, right? And in the event you're facing off against a 3 DPS that's trying to counter your dive, sometimes we'll put our solo tank on a D.Va in our team just because if they've got like a Roadhog and a Reaper or something like that that's just really good at bursting down the one tank you have, then obviously you just bring in the D.Va so that she can right click and she gets to stay alive considerably longer. So it's been interesting to see kind of the evolution of the dive. Personally, I think it's kind of a mistake. Like, there's a lot of raw power to the 3 DPS. Like, you can just brute force your way through situations that you can't normally just by the sheer output of damage that you're able to do. So especially when you have the Zen there for the Discord Orb on top of the 3 DPS, and he does a good chunk of damage himself, it's really, really lethal. And I'm definitely biased towards it, but I would like to see a little bit more of that come back. So again, just as much, I'm not rooting against Rogue, but just bring him home. But overall, there was definitely some changes here. I think Zarya is, she's at about 25% usage, which is low for Zarya, but I last time we looked at numbers like this, I'm pretty sure she was lower. D.Va was the most played tank on this list, I think is the most surprising bit of information there. So this was something we'd seen more in Korea, and I think people watching tape from just in general, I think watching tape on this Apex Season 3 has really kind of changed the meta here in NA quite a bit, brought her into the mix quite a bit more. She's a really strong hero and a really fun one people are really big fans of. So obviously it's great to see her around. The second highest, so Lucio was number 1. Let's just start there, 98%. We've talked about this and we were hopeful that the change they made might have made some impact, but it turns out everybody can just stand a little, stand closer within the range of the thing, and he's still just boosting everybody's speed, so you kind of still have to run him.
We knew this was we knew that unless they somehow either gave another hero the ability to increase the team speed or just got rid of that speed, it was never this is always going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely points where you don't need him. Like, if you're defending on King's Row, I would almost rather see people trying Ana Zen and really kind of innovating that way, because unless you're pure dive, like through triple DPS dive, you don't need to have that huge boost of speed to go in and get them. Let's say you're running something like kind of like a half dive, or the D.Va dive. You've got the D.Va and the Winston. Now that's two characters that are bigger and bulkier. They don't have to be as evasive when they move because they can just absorb a little more damage than the average character. And they play off of each other. The D.Va can hide behind the Winston shield. The Winston can hide inside the defense matrix. Like, they play off of each other, and you can get synergy elsewhere. So I don't know. It might be wrong that it's still at 98%, but I mean, what I'm talking about, dropping it down to like 80%, because there's these couple tiny niche places where it doesn't quite give you the most value.
Yeah,
but
dropping it down to
at the same time,
mostly overwhelmingly played.
Right, and the ultimate is still like huge. So I mean, that's probably why, and I'm not really factoring it in that analysis, because if you're going to lose that first point early, which is, I mean, probably the most likely outcome in a fairly balanced competitive match, in the first couple fights you're going to lose it. So the Lucio then enters early, stage 2, has the ultimate instead of switching to it, and then you don't anymore. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see exactly how that plays out. But Tracer's in at number 2, 75% played. So whether it's 222 or what, dive or not dive, she's seeing a lot of play, which, I mean, it makes sense. Whether she's just so good at harassing tanks and just pumping damage into people with huge hitboxes, that it's really, really hard not to run her now. So if they're going heavy tank, you still kind of want the Tracer. Like, she's the tank counter now instead of Reaper, which has been kind of interesting. And Diva helps obviously too against the other big tanks. So they're using multiple heroes to kind of fill that damage and role of Reaper, but nonetheless, it's getting done. And Winston comes in, or I'm sorry, Diva at 367%, Winston 462. Then you got Soldier, you've got Anna, you've got Zen. Anna and Zen are really close, 43 and 42%. So almost 2% off there when you add in the fractions, but really close. And I think that's great to see personally. It's high time. It's no longer just two supports get to see play, and we get some variety. Poor Lucio player that doesn't get any variety, but at least one of you gets to switch back and forth a little bit. And obviously Mercy did come in at 15%, tied very, very closely with Farah. Go figure.
Who would have thought?
Right. And like we said, we have some Hanzo there, and that's brought Zarya up a little bit. Hanzo's only at like 4% play because not everybody was doing it, and not all the games were televised. So I'm sure there was plenty of unstreamed Mangachu shenanigans that aren't in these numbers. But when you're running the Hanzo, you have to run the Zarya. The combo is way too strong to ignore. So
yeah, I mean, I guess to go back to like the Tracer Diva Winston comp, I guess it makes more sense, versus Reaper. The first thing that comes to mind is like, oh, we're seeing these tanks, we're seeing these big hitboxes, we're seeing like a harassment style. Why aren't we seeing Reaper? Well, I guess it makes sense when you Tracer on her own can do damage, and she can maybe take down tanks, but you have to do a lot to do that. Diva, same boat. Like, you can take out these tanks, you can take out these heroes on your own, but it takes a lot, and it takes you have to really try it. Winston really can't take out anyone on his own effectively unless you're like going above and beyond. However, when you combine the three of them and they're all doing this like chip here, chip there, poke, like eventually it's like, okay, now you're starting to put together the numbers to take out some heroes, and so it kind of makes sense. Whereas like the Reaper would go up and like, okay, the Reaper can very easily take out a Winston. A Reaper can very easily take out a Roadhog, etc. Like, instead you're working more as a team and more as a composition to like take out these heroes all together.
Yeah, and outside of a 6-stack, to be clear, you should still be answering them with Roadhog and
Sure.
Reaper. You should not be trying to do this in a solo queue scenario. And when you're 6-stacking and the focus fire's there, you have a shot caller calling the DPS target. You have people that listen to the shot caller when they call out the DPS target. Two very, very crucial factors to a successful 6-stack. It makes all the difference in the world. The focus fire cannot be over. The value of that cannot be overstated.
Yeah, I mean, it's even just the couple of games I played with your team, like, it is just massively different. And like getting focused is also massively different. You feel so helpless when you get focused. Like, you can tell. It's like, and when it shifts over, it's just like, oh god, they're when I went Zen that one for like that 5 seconds of Zen, I was like, oh my god, they can smell my fear. They're trying to get me, and they're succeeding.
Yeah, and honestly, another perfect example of it, that's the scrim against Omniclab. When you watch Andres go McCree, he's a filthy McCree, and he gets like play of the game on Lijiang Tower because he gets like a double kill, then turns and gets a triple kill Deadeye. Wow. It was just a silly play, and it was the first fight, so we didn't know he was there when we initiated, so I'm not calling him as the target. And then the next fight, it's like, oh, okay, you want to break out the golden McCree gun, that's fine. And it's dive the McCree, and it's that he gets play of the game. I know he's there. I call him out. We focus him, and it's so brutal. I almost felt bad for him watching it from this perspective. Like, there was nothing he could. I was dizzy trying to keep track of my Genji and my Tracer that were in the back line messing with him, and I'm pretty sure he's just there, and Com's like, oh geez, and then he's dead, and he's like, I'm switching off McCree now because they are just focusing me, and it can make certain heroes just completely unplayable because of their skill set and what goes on. If you're focus firing them well, there's nothing they can do.
Right. Yeah. A low mobility hero like McCree, like, you can take out one maybe, but it's the second and third one, and those buzzing little bees that are going to come and get you. So definitely, it's definitely interesting. Like, even like a few months ago, we didn't quite see this sort of evolution of like the team actually playing the team comp. Like when you think about the whole Beyblade meta, it's like, yeah, no, that it was the philosophy of like, okay, people are running tanks, let's go Reaper. Reaper can take out tanks. It's like, no, you can actually just pull from your entire team. It's like you don't need the one hero to counter the one hero, or the one hero to counter these heroes. It's like you take a little bit from here, you take a little bit from Tracer, you take a little bit from Winston, you take a little bit from Diva, and all of a sudden that starts to add up. And it's like now we're starting to see that. So I'm really interested to see if there's anything else we can pull from this too.
Yeah, I mean, it's like suddenly Diva's this Pharah counter, right? Like, and that was never the case
saying
in
that for
beta
months and months and months.
But it's you don't have to counter somebody by killing them, right? There's a lot of different things you can do. You can just negate their damage while the rest of your team wins the entire rest of the fight on the ground. Yep. And one character Diva negates Mercy, negates Pharah, and now you have numbers. You have a 5 versus 4 on the ground. So it's great to see. And this is why I love Overwatch, because I don't have any problems with there being, the first person shooter skill set in a game. It's not deep enough for me. I want the strategy. Yeah. I want that, that comes from a class based, objective based shooter. And it's what drew me to the game, having that strategy. That I want metas that are rock, paper, scissors. So then you find the dynamite that breaks the meta, and you know what I mean? So that aspect has always been really fun to me, and from all the games I've played. So yeah, it's one we'll continue to talk about a ton, I'm sure, as we both enjoy it, being strategy gamers. So.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see these. Like once you start seeing the comps that people are running in pro level that you absolutely cannot run in quick match, that just do not work because they need to be fully coordinated, that's when I think the game starts to really get to the point that we want to see. That the point where people start taking it more seriously. So the other thing we mentioned earlier was this little leak, or maybe it was an official spoiler that led to some data mining. I'm not 100% familiar.
It's from a blog post. Blizzard tweeted it out, so it's a lot legit. Like when they did the first Sombra information, and it was classified or whatever. I think, or no, actually, the better analog is the first image that came out for Orisa. At least I'm hoping, from a timeline standpoint, that's more the case, because Sombra was long have we waited. But yeah, so this is essentially, we aren't a lore podcast, so we'll let the other podcasts give you all the lore about it. But this is a series of, a transcript of messages from the Horizon lunar canopy. What happened there was they were genetically modifying different species to see how they adapted to life in space. And that's where Winston came from. And we saw in the animated short, he had, Dr. Harold Winston was one of the doctors there. That's the place where this all happened. And it's basically showing the event that led to the downfall of the Horizon Lunar Colony. We learned that it's still active. They're still tracking the specimens there. And we see the tracking. There's 6 or 7 specimens that are tracked. They know where they are. There's blips for them on the map. They're on the moon. They're safe and sound. There's 2 that's not. One of them's Winston. He's not on the moon. The second one is Hammond. Now, we're drawing a lot of clues here, but they're really, really strong clues. Yeah. One of them I'll just give you is Tracer. I don't know if it was data mined, but there's a voice line out there where she shouts, Chimpston. Okay? And in one of the messages, it's the guy clearly says, why did we think it would be a good idea to have smaller test subjects? I'm beginning to regret that, or something along those lines, right? So it's everything's pointing to, it's an animal. Okay, we're just about confirmed that it's an animal. Every sign is pointing towards a chimpanzee because it's smaller than a Winston. But also, they're testing to see, this is for human purposes, this test. They were trying to see if humans could adapt to full-time living in space and how it would go. So it wouldn't make sense to bring in a cat or a dog or, you know what I mean? Like any other animal that's not closely related to humans. So
Right.
it would make sense that it's I'm blanking on the official term, but that it's a chimpanzee, a gorilla, an ape, or
A
something
great ape.
something along those lines. Yeah. So
They
all
should have
signs
done a
point to
bonobo.
a tiny little chimp that fits in ventilation shafts and things like that. So sounds terrible because Overwatch is basically getting an odd job.
Yeah, which is awesome. I want more wacky, zany characters. Like,
Golden Gun odd job.
yeah, I want
Um,
slappers only on
no,
the
I mean
facilities
obviously
level.
I don't have any adverse. It isn't like with me. This isn't like the stealth hero where I am just vehemently opposed to the idea of it. I
Yeah.
don't like it. It's all in how they do it, right? I think it's pretty safe that he's going to be pretty mobile. He's going to be jump based, similar to Winston. It's probably not going to be like an augmented thing because chimpanzees already leap farther than gorillas, as far as my biological knowledge will, lead me to believe.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see. Obviously, he's going to be harder to hit. I think it's safe to say he's not going to be a tank, right? It would be pretty boring to just make another tanking orangutan or something like that.
Yeah.
So I would think healer or DPS or, whether it's attack or defense, who knows? But we'll see. It's kind of completely up in the air. I would just say not tank confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, it would be too good to be called orangutan, but
all I know is Doomfist is clearly a chimpanzee.
I'm for some reason imagining that he's got like a mech spacesuit type of thing, not like divas, but like the ones where it's just like you go in and I don't know. They usually look like mining suits where it's just like a basic extension of your body. You're not like in a pilot. You're not like a pilot. It's just like an extension of your. It's like an exoskeleton, a robot exoskeleton. For some reason, I'm thinking that, which seems like it would make more sense because like you really don't want a a chimpanzee compared to the other heroes in the game is pretty small. I guess Torbjorn,
I think you could get away with one at like 3/4 height of like your standard human. So I would think it would be modeled similar to Tracer. And it's going to be, it's going to be mobile. So the fact that like Genjis and Tracers are so small hitboxes, you could kind of see like a fully grown chimpanzee being around Tracer sized.
Yeah, that's true.
More long of limb than body, but
Yeah.
Hitboxes don't care whether it's a it's a limb or an abdomen.
It'll be interesting. I just hope it doesn't take 18,000 months to reveal like it did with Sombra. But I think that they kind of learned from that. They learned from that.
I think interesting. I think they're going to keep following the Orisa model. That seemed to go very smoothly, released without a hitch. I don't remember an inordinate amount of complaining. I think we're going to be looking at like 2 to 3 weeks after the season starts, maybe. Though I would love to see beginning of the season. As much as I would hate to see it, I 6-stack enough where fine, let's do it. Let's just go new hero on release day of the season. Like, there's definitely a lot of appeal to that to me. But it is also like great to just take a week off of ranked when they release a new hero, since somebody's always going to be playing it no matter what for the first X days.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to at least see it in PTR soon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. I want to see the kit. I want to know what we're dealing with so that I can start to theory craft a little bit, even though it's more of a Warcraft term. Theory watch. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. We're going to just go with theory craft. I want to theory craft how it'll fit into the meta, what it'll do. Yeah. I mean, when you tell me chimpanzee and I think mobile, I'm a dive team already. So are you giving me another backline option? Are you giving me a better backline support option? Because that would be just the greatest thing ever, especially for me personally.
Yeah, if he dropped health packs or something. Oh, yeah, he feeds bananas. He drops bananas that give health and speed. Oh, and speed. He can replace Lucio.
And they can slip on the banana peels.
Oh man, just like Diddy Kong and Brawl.
Right. Yes. So he's like an anti support.
He's literally Diddy Kong. Like he has the peanut gun. He's got maybe he's like a full melee. What if he's a full melee? Like just nothing but. So did you ever play Left 4 Dead?
Yeah.
Okay,
so you have to jump. You're saying you jump on the guy's back.
You jump on him. You like slash him. You can jump. You jump around. You've got like Winston jumps, but that's how you move. Like you move super slow and you Winston jump all over, but he doesn't have projectiles. He's just melee. He has like a leap that's like a set leap, but if you land on someone, it like does some damage and you jump off like the kind of like the Jockey from Left 4 Dead 2. I don't know, man. I'm getting excited now.
So,
I want to see him without a gun.
So if he plays at all like the Jockey from Left 4 Dead 2, you heard it here first, and they get all their design ideas from the High Noon podcast over at Blizzard.
Yep, they're going to change. They have plans. It's already like put into their internal testing. They're going to change it now to the Jockey from Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, because it's such a good idea that might as well, right? So
I would love to see
Hammond
him
will be a Jockey, and then they'll release that kit and a different model down the line. Yeah, whatever they planned before.
Yeah, I would love to see him not have a gun, like be a completely melee hero, like a really mobile melee hero that just like, I don't know.
I like the idea of jumping on their back. I don't know. Something about that is appealing. It's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, you jump on their back, like you do a little bit of damage, then you jump away. Like if you jump, like you could maybe like, I don't know, like immobilize them for a couple of seconds, and like I don't know, man. Like I think it's sweet. I think there's a lot of ability.
I could see that working with a medic too. Like you jump on their back, you apply bandages. You know what I mean? And then if the guy dies, you just fall to the ground and you get to go.
Or he could almost be like Abathur in Heroes of the Storm, where like you jump on someone's back and it like enhances them and you can still do attacks from their back. Like I'm just man. Now I'm gonna be disappointed if it's anything less than this awesome idea we came up with.
Yeah, we've got two really good ideas, Blizzard. So take your pick and go with the healer because I want new things to do in comp.
Yeah. Definitely want this to happen. Yep. But that's gonna be just about it, guys. Not a whole heck of a lot going on right now. We're still keeping our ears low to the ground about Contenders and Overwatch League and now Hammond. And we'll keep you updated on all that stuff. But
Contenders is next weekend. So is Take TV. So there's plenty of stuff going on. I don't know how much I'll personally be able to watch, but I will bare minimum have firsthand accounts of the rounds that I get to play in the Contenders tournament.
Maybe you'll get some top eight stuff, or maybe you'll come back crowned a contender.
Or maybe LG Evil will beat me, and in game I'll just be like, "Yo, Super, you want to come talk about this on the podcast?" And then we'll have a guest with us. Who knows? I would never do that.
I have AP Bio homework to do.
So I don't know. We will see. We're not 100% sure how the next couple of weeks will go. If there's anything you want to hear specifically about, my Contenders experience, definitely, feel free to send in any questions. As always, that is just an open invitation. Anything you want to see or hear on the show, definitely tweet at us at High Noon Podcast and let us know.
All that good stuff. But we're going to keep you guys updated on all that stuff and all that good stuff. And everyone, remember, just channel your spirit ball for Team No Spaghetti Allowed. We want that. We want that W to come back.
If you're watching the stream and you see NSA as the team abbreviation, that's me.
Yep. Even though you never want to root for the NSA.
We just did it for the meme.
I know. Not gonna go down that rabbit hole. But that's gonna be it, guys. Any last second stuff, Death?
I don't think so. If your guys want to reach out to us, we have a website. It's highnoonpodcast.com. There's links to just about everywhere you could possibly watch or listen to the show. You can go find that there on the website. Also information that'll get you to our social media pages, both for the show and individually for ourselves. So highnoonpodcast.com.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that. That's where everything you could ever want for the show is. And all that good stuff. But huge thanks to Matt Chirino, who actually brought us our SoundCloud. So for those of you who listen to us on SoundCloud, you can thank Matt Chirino for that. You can thank Adam Hook for the awesome music that you're about to hear, our outro music. Actually, we had someone ask about that last week, so pointed him, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, but pointed him over to Adam Hook. Definitely check him out, and huge thanks to him. Thanks to all the patrons over at patreon.com/highnoonpodcast. You can always support the show there. You can support the show by listening, downloading on iTunes, and leaving us an iTunes review. Always super helpful. But, guys, that's going to be it for Deathblow. I am the Blevins, and remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots, and he put on his hat. Threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now guides my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad. He'll make amends for the sins that he has. He says, I'll change the world one bullet at a time till I find mine.
Okay, so I definitely want him to throw bananas and stuff. There has to be something with bananas. I'm not going to accept it if Hammond doesn't have bananas. Just know that, Blizzard. Just know it. Woo!
We did it.